Okay, better make this fast because heater just turned on, I'm sick, and I'm wearing a sweater, so I'm going to be sweating bullets real soon. Day 2 of a month of Super Sentai, or unofficially, is the 17th season, 1993. My birth year. Gosei Sentai, Dairanger. Told myself I was going to do that, but I kind of had fun doing that, so I guess I'll keep that in. Okay, Dairanger wasn't fully officially adapted into Power Rangers. They just adapted the monsters and the mecha, and that was mostly it. I guess just on to things that I kind of liked and kind of things that threw me off. I definitely like the theme of the Chinese mythology and the kung fu. Although it did take me a while to realize what a kirin or a kilin is, and not the beer. Oh, as well as the tenma, and they're kind of like a Pegasus and unicorn, I think, separately. I forget which one's which, but they're both horse-like creatures, I think. Let me check that real quick. Yeah, so I think Tenma is a Pegasus-like creature, and the Kilin is a unicorn-like creature. I definitely liked Master Kaku's relationship with the Rangers. It felt like he knew all their dreams and ambitions. In his parting last words as he was dying, or at least when I thought, I think I went back and watched the scene, and it didn't quite go over what I remembered. Maybe it was a different scene, or maybe it just I kind of filled in the rest in my head, in that I think he was thinking about them when they were doing what they're known for, and then I think I kind of filled in the part where he knows their dreams and ambitions. I like that each character kind of had their own side story. Ryo and Jin, Shoji and the Stooges, Daigo and Kujaku, Kazu and Kameo, and Rin and Ko and Ko's mother. Just because it kind of gave a little bit of balance to the story. It didn't feel too one-sided, in my opinion, and each side story had relevance to the overall story. I also like the theme. The theme amongst the older ones definitely aged well, because it sounds like the Mortal Kombat theme. So that was fun. Things that caught me off guard. So this is still the early 90s, and I'm not gonna lie, those villain outfits were pretty whack. Yeah, the leather and the metal face masks. I think they were still using some old design philosophies from the 70s and 80s. You know, moving forward, I didn't see it as much. So something that was interesting was they had a 2-part episode somewhere towards the beginning. Let me check. Yeah, already certain. Yeah, so somewhere towards the beginning, like within the first 10 episodes, there's a 2-part story, 2-part episode, focusing on Ryo and his relationship with his father. And it's one of those stories like the father was absent, or I think it was absent, but the main thing is that the father was actually aligned with the enemy. You know, kind of similar to I guess Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker a little bit. You know, the father's enemy, son is conflicted, it gets settled. I think it was a good episode. The only thing is that I don't think they really did anything with it after, because it was so early, they really couldn't have led up to it, but they didn't really do anything with it after. And what I mean is, they didn't really, I don't know, it wasn't addressed. Like, it wasn't used as further character development. It wasn't something that Rio would return to. It was just, they didn't do much with it. And it was a good episode, but they just didn't do much with it. In a sense, kind of similar to the next point that kind of threw me off is, again, usually I don't try to get too caught up in this, but it was so apparent that it was hard for me not to. But it's kind of hard to see Ko's mother end up with someone like Shadam. But I'll explain later why, like, I think that, over time, like, moving forward, writing gets better. Like, the story gets tighter. Like, they had these great ideas that they were able to put into a story, but I feel like they just didn't go deeper with it or implement it as deeply as they could have. But I'll address that more when I get there. The ending kind of felt like, I don't want to say a cop-out, but the ending is everybody's fighting, but then they say that everyone has to stop fighting, and it's just kind of like a natural way of life that the two powers at play always had to be fighting. So then it wasn't exactly a satisfying ending, but again, I think that goes back to, moving forward, the writing gets tighter, the stories get tighter. Maybe it's rooted in some Chinese and Japanese mythology that I don't know about. Moving on to my favorite episode, or the episode that stood out to me. My favorite episode is episode 47, The Amazing Truth. And it's kind of a classic superhero moment when, the hero, or in this case the Rangers, realize that they have that self-realization that they don't exactly need their powers to fight, to make a difference, to be the heroes that they need to be. And it turns out that there's a reason why this stood out to me, is that this was the early iteration of the suitless and helmetless roll calls that would eventually be a tradition in later Super Sentais in their endgame arcs, or in their last, like, 2 episodes when they're fighting the last big bad. The way it lends itself to, demonstrating, like, the conviction or the determination to be a hero is very different when they do it out of suit. Like, they do their same poses, they do their same roll calls, they yell the same thing as if they normally do when they're suited up, but in this, they're just in their regular human clothes, no helmet or mask to hide behind, and sometimes they look a little beat up because they were just fighting. And I think that lends itself to a lot of conviction in what they're saying, and it's kind of like their last passage as they become the heroes that they're meant to be, or like that final like test almost. And just to put into perspective, how different would it have been if Iron Man, Tony Stark, did his snap and said his famous phrase, "I am Iron Man," if he still had the helmet and the mask on?